Dr. Garg, please tell us about yourself and in particular, your work to support those of South Asian heritage living with chronic health care conditions. What led you to this passion for this work?
Yeah, very happy to share. I'm a medical doctor, have been in practice for over 40 years. Now, 10 years ago, I got interested in India-Canada relationships. And that led to visiting India. And to my surprise, I found that the chronic diseases, which we'll be talking about, like diabetes, hypertension, renal disease, is so much more prevalent among South Asians' heritage. So I started to look into it, and I said at that time that there are some opportunities here to work with our community, to work with people, to work with the individuals, things which are not available to them otherwise, so-called gap. And I thought rather than just sitting, let's do something about it. So that led to Canada-India Network Society, and the rest, as they say, is history. I think I'm glad I did it, and I'm really enjoying it, and we just have a fabulous, I think in my view anyway, fourth Canada-India Network initiative, and our purpose now is getting more and more focus and more deeper and deeper focus to engage the people themselves. And so I'm really happy that you have invited me and that this is part of the journey of sharing what we could do together to be healthy.
Well, thank you for that background. And when was the Canada-India Network Society founded?
We're celebrating our 11th year, really 10 year, because of the COVID. We had to kind of shut down last year. So 2010 is when we started, the famous BC Olympics.
Wonderful. 2 milestones that year then.
Yeah.
So you were speaking a little bit about what you had seen in India with regards to diabetes, hypertension, high blood pressure, kidney disease. Can you explain a little bit about how all three disproportionately impact the South Asian community?
First of all, this is a relatively new disease. All these diseases, all these chronic diseases, if you were to come and look at it 100 years ago or 200 years ago, the prevalence was much less. So this whole thing started much recently. And from South Asian community point of view, very interestingly, most of it is 50 years, 60 years old. So if you look at the numbers before 1960 or 1950, the numbers were much smaller. So that begs the question why there is this disproportionate now increase in these diseases in this particular group of people. People have many ideas. Obviously, it's multifactorial. Nothing is as simple as just saying this is what is causing it. There is always many reasons. And I think as we are talking to a very broad general audience, I must say that these are some ideas I'm sharing. It's not any medical advice, I think. And also, research is constantly changing ideas. So, for example, what I'm going to share, I wouldn't have been saying even 2 years ago or a year ago. So I would say there are essentially, in my mind, the preponderant reason is what we call nurture, or even broader term, which is a very important concept, and that is called epigenetics. In other words, your genes are okay, but how genes work is being influenced by your behavior. And interestingly, Rama, this behavior, epigenetics, is intergenerational. So if something happened in your family history, it could show up for 3 or 4 generations. So people think it might be my genes, what can I do? And that issue is important for our community, because our community certainly has a tremendous faith value. So they start to relate it to, oh, I can't do anything, it's in my fate, or it's a fatalistic approach. So I think that's why it's important to realize that modern science is saying that most of these chronic diseases are because of what's happening between you and nurturing part, your behavior, your lifestyle. And a lot of it is, first of all, delayable, is preventable, and even after you get it, it's curable. So I would say the positive part is, and this conference we had, that was the major theme, you can do it. So both diabetes, and diabetes is the mother of all this, if you want to think of it, because that's where majority of it starts, which then leads to side effects and complications like kidney disease. Blood pressure will be even more fundamental than diabetes. So I would say blood pressure and glucose will be the reason. And the reason South Asians have this much higher is, to a great extent, maybe 70%, maybe 60%, maybe 80%, you could pick any number. Reason is lifestyle. And that mostly gets into nutrition and diet. And we could talk more about it because a lot is known now. And the physical activity and sleeping patterns, stress, and all those things combined. It's not one of them, it's all combined. And at the outset, let me just say, as far as diet goes, I'm not really just talking about what you eat. Indian diet is very delicious, and I love it. Most probably I miss it. I just dread the day if I won't have it, because we're used to a lot of spices and a lot of body to it. But what more important is about diet is how you eat, when you eat, why you eat, and how much you eat. Those four are more important than what you eat. And I think that is a concept I find in last 10 years, as we've been talking about, is not that well known. And people don't realize, like in our community, as you know, we love celebrations, we love parties. Every time anything is there, we say, let's have a party, or birthday party, wedding party, and somebody's coming, let's celebrate. So those celebrations are very good, and I think that's wonderful. But people don't eat till 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, and that is Achilles' heel. So if you ask me in one sum up point, and that would be that your behavior related to your lifestyle, which is related to dietary habits, I should say, not just the diet, but dietary habits. And I think there is a lot of science on it, and the nice thing is, it's within you.
Dr. Garg, that was a lot of information. Thank you. I think I'm going to need a minute to process all that. We're going to cut to a commercial. Can you stay with us?
Yes, absolutely. We're happy to be.
Great. Thank you. We'll be right back.